good. So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you in person because this is how we meet each other nowadays, through Zoom. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Yeah, for sure. My name is John Darbyshire. I'm the CEO of SmartSuite. We are a no-code platform that focuses on work management. We help organizations manage business processes and projects that they have inside of their organization. We founded the company SmartSuite about 3 years ago. So we have about 4,000 customers. Today, I'm passionate about quite a few things, but I'll say from a work perspective, I'm passionate about all things no code. I started my no code career 20 some years ago with a company called Archer Technologies that I founded that went on to be the leader in the governance, risk, and compliance space. We help large enterprises manage processes around mainly bringing products to market like online banking, first presence on the internet, those types of things that needed to be secured. On that, sold that company in 2010, retired for a bit, and then got the bug to kind of get back into tech. So that's kind of my synopsis.
Nice. So you're telling me we can't use the words "learn to code" anymore because nobody should learn to code anymore. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm absolutely, like, I feel like that's the revolution that that's underway right now is no code. And what no code really means is just putting the power in the hands of the people that do the work to actually configure the processes the way that they want to get their work done each day without any coding. So it's all drag and drop is what no code means. It's a fancy word for letting the kind of the word of the industry nowadays is a citizen developer, meaning a person that knows the process, just be able to build the process the way that they want using drag and drop.
Right. So you have a bunch of competitors in your space right now, right? What makes you different from them?
Sure. Yeah, the goal of SmartSuite was to take 5 or 6 different product industries and put those into a single platform that allows you to kind of manage work without the need to have 6 or 8 different products to do that work. So think about the project management players that maybe you're referring to. That would be someone like a Asana, a ClickUp, a Monday, a Rike, right? So we provide those types of capabilities. And then think more process management with like a ServiceNow, an Airtable, a Mindex, kind of the really high-end business process automation tools. But then we provide automation capabilities and integration capabilities similar to like a Make or a Zapier that's built into the core platform, dashboarding capabilities that's more business analytics types, form builders where you would have like a type 1, 2, 3 form builder or SurveyMonkey where you need to collect information maybe on your website or through clients and have the data come back into the product. And there's a few more, but you kind of get the intent of SmartSuite is to take all of those general capabilities into one core platform. And that's what begins to set us apart from some of the key players in both project and process that think about things in very different ways. We try to bring those together into what we call a business operating system, where you get both project, process, and then these other pieces that I spoke about.
Well, that sounds like it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You got everything in it. What makes it sort of different from just using best of breed? Is it because of the integration? Is that the key?
It is. Let me give you a few examples. So kind of what's happened in the no-code space in the last 2 to 3 years is that there are a lot of great no-code point solutions that people may gravitate towards from a sales perspective, a marketing and HR, maybe a product or operations perspective, all great products. But the first thing that people say is, now I got data in 5 or 6 places. How do I connect that data together, right? So that's where SmartSuite comes in, and we want to give you 90 to 95% of the capabilities that you have on those products that you already love across those categories, but in one connected platform where you have a single source of truth, maybe where the sales team is responsible for accounts and contacts, but the marketing team needs access to that information. The product team links into that. So there's no duplication of data. It's all in one place. And then when it's in one place like that, there's a lot of efficiencies around onboarding and offboarding employees, around permissioning to know that the data is secured. So that if somebody does leave the organization, you don't have maybe 6 or 7 different products that you're worried about. Where's the data set that's there? And then the last element that really sets us apart is we allow people to collaborate inside of the product where the work is getting done. So think if you're working on a client project and you have a particular task, we allow you to communicate internally with your team through our product inside of that task, kind of like a Slack or an email type capability. but we also allow you to communicate directly with your clients through email that's there. And then any reply to that email comes back into the context of that record, so that if you need to understand what's going on, you can pull up that client or that particular task and kind of see everything together.
So it sounds like there would be a challenge going into a place where a lot of those tools are already there and you'd need to move to them. Are you more targeted towards Greenfield operations where somebody just needs something that will do everything and then just move into that space?
Most of our customers are doing what the first part of what you just said, and that they have a few of those tools already, but their preference long-term is to kind of begin to bring everything together, because they're spending so much time trying to integrate data. They're setting up permissions and user accounts for lots of people across lots of different products, and it's hard to just maintain. So the value is back in the no-code platform, the work management platform, and that's what sets us apart. But that's also where we think the market is headed. Is you're going to see more no-code work management platforms come to be that help organizations manage and run their business without the need of so many different, point solutions on the outside.
Yeah, because it seems to me that it's just this sort of alphabet soup of different things depending on the organization. Like, at one point the CIO liked Slack, so it's in there, and then now they like Teams, or they like this, or they're Microsoft. So there just seems to be just such a broad variety of things they all need to integrate with each other, right? Otherwise, it's not very useful. So, so not only are you taking coders' jobs away, you're also taking integrators' jobs away, right?
Yeah, well, what's interesting about what you just said is that one of the fastest growing no-code industries right now is on the integration side,
right?
And with products like Zapier and Make and Ply, and there's a whole host of them. But the reason is everybody has all these different systems that need to communicate back together, and they need a product that helps them communicate and exchange information back and forth. It sounds simple, but it actually turns into full-time jobs for people, because you're always adding fields in one place, and now I need to account for that field being added over here, and I have to put that back in my connector. Inside of products like SmartSuite, all those connections could happen internally, and we know about everything, so you don't have to worry about all the integration. It's just built in. But we also integrate with Zapier and Make and Ply, so that if you do need to integrate with outside products outside of us, it's just like you'd integrate with anything else. So we try to give you the best of both worlds, but knowing that long term you're going to want to have more of your business processes, or what we call workflows, kind of in a single product to make your life easier.
Right. So in a lot of this other SaaS, you really need to spend a lot of time configuring it to your business. I mean, and you need to get special help. I mean, look at Salesforce. You've got a whole ecosystem of Salesforce people who can customize Salesforce exactly the way companies want it. It's not all the way back to custom software, but it's sort of something in between. So I'm assuming you need to do some customization as well, or how have you sort of reduced the amount of customization that's required?
Sure. No, great question. So, I have a background at Ernst & Young where I was a partner and ran one of their global practices. So I have a good dose of process management and best practices kind of in my blood from the beginning. So I'm a process person. So what we did at SmartSuite is we created about 200 best-in-class process templates across every core business process in a company, as well as segmented by industries like healthcare or real estate or construction or churches or nonprofits. And we brought those together. So if you come in and say, I really don't know what a best-in-class process looks like for sales, we'll give you a couple of options. We'll give you here's the big gorilla, like the Salesforce that has all the things you might want to collect, but maybe you just need a CRM light. Like you're just getting started. You don't need all that. The intent is you click on those templates, and with 3 seconds, those templates download into your account with sample data, and you can play with them and see what it looks like. And that's a great starting point for 95% of our customers. That's where they start with processes. It also helps you understand processes in your business that you may be using in other products or in spreadsheets that you could just very quickly move into one source that's there. And with that, though, does come customization. So customization means I just want to change the way the information looks on side of a record. I want to drag information around in a different format. That's what no code is really good at. Or I want to add more data points than are collected here that are unique to me. Those are just field types. We offer 44 different field types. So you could say, I just need a drop-down list, or I need a checklist, or a status, those types of things. So that's where we begin to excel, is starting with the template to help our users understand what is best in class, and then they can tailor the template to what they need. About 5% of our customers kind of in that range start from scratch and just build exactly what they want. But majority, 95%, download a template and tailor that to fit their specific needs.
Right. And would you say that, well, where do your customers fit on are they major corporates? Are they startups? Are they mid-sized companies? Where do they fit?
Yeah, we go through 3 different classifications of companies that we work with, from startups, SMBs, and enterprise, and everything in between, every industry you could think of. It's really fun, since we're just a platform for people to use and build processes in their companies. We have every kind of company you could imagine, from real estate companies, construction companies, healthcare, manufacturing, product, tech. We have agents that manage UFC fighters. We have a rugby team that manages rugby, or an agency that manages rugby type teams or soccer teams, where they're tracking all the players and everything that happens, their compensation, and
Wow.
how they can trade for them, like Moneyball on the baseball side,
Nice.
that's there. Just, anything that needs a database where you need to collect content and then analyze and make decisions based on that content, a no-code platform or work management platform is going to be a good fit for that type of work.
Right. So it doesn't really matter what size the company is. I mean, what are your price point? Are your price points pretty reasonable for SMBs?
They are. So the first one is we have a free 14-day trial of our pro plan. At the end of the 14 days, if you don't want to convert to a paid plan just yet, you can move into a free plan that's free forever for up to 3 users. Then our first entry point is our team edition. That's $10 per user per month. And then you can move to professional, which is $24, and then our enterprise, which is about $40.
Nice. So let's back up a little bit and talk about your startup story. How did you, what made you decide to do this? What problem were you trying to solve? I mean, how did you come across it, and how did you decide to solve this particular issue?
Sure. Yeah. So, after I sold our company back in 2010, I told you I officially retired and did all the things that somebody that retires thinks that they would do. And the bottom line is I got bored.
That usually happens, right?
Right. I did a lot of investing in startups and working with a lot of companies. We invested in about 400 of those, either direct or through some venture funds. So I had the chance to work with a lot of entrepreneurs and their businesses. And what I found was we spent a lot of time talking about their internal systems, the things we're talking about now, to run the processes of the business as the business begins to scale, right? And sometimes we would spend as much time talking about that as we did the product or service that they were trying to bring to market that was there. And I got frustrated that we were always talking about 5, 6, 7 different solutions that they needed to bring in just to manage running the business and hiring people, just the operations side of that. So
right, it's kind of like your startup suite, right? We're going to pick a whole bunch of different tools from different startups, and we're just gonna use them because we just need to get something out the door quick. So you see this plethora of different things. I want Asana for this, I want Slack for this, I want this for this, but it's just nothing, and nothing communicates with each other. It's just stuff that you can bring in quickly just get things up and running. But there's no thought involved. There's no connectivity between the pieces.
Yeah. So you just described kind of the thought process behind SmartSuite, and that I had that frustration level, and all those products that you just mentioned are great products and I found them useful. What I didn't like was that I had to worry about integrating them, or where do I go to get this information versus this information? And I just said, look, I built this 20 some years ago in a no-code platform. 75 of the Fortune 100 use that product to this day. That's there to manage processes in their companies. I want to bring that level of capability to every business size, but with today's technology that allows things to be more performant, the user interfaces can be more interesting. It's just easier for us to build that type of platform. So my thought was, at some point, people are going to get tired of those 6 to 8 to 9 different products and say, I really just need a product to help me manage the majority, and maybe have 1 or 2 other ones outside of that. So that was the genesis for the vision around SmartSuite. And then we spent 3 years with over 100 developers to build the core technology. So that's what's unique about us. We didn't release an MVP in 6 months and then try to iterate with customers. The reason for that is an MVP wouldn't solve the problem.
Wow, that's so unlike what everyone else is doing. What made you decide to do that? You realize this is really the best way to solve the issue?
It is. And, I had the luxury of not needing to go out and get venture capital, and we could, fund this ourselves. It's a kind of a different story than if it was an entrepreneur with a great idea and didn't have the means to actually go do that. And we wanted to get it right. So when we went to market, we wanted to make sure that we could deliver on the vision and that people understood how we were different.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if somebody was comparing us against a Monday, ClickUp, Asana, Airtable, service.
There's more and more of these starting to be all-in-ones, right? Or they're moving towards the all-in-one space. But sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but the idea was that if somebody looked at those products and looked at us, they would see that, we do have all those features, plus a whole bunch of things that would make it better, in relation to another product that's there. And that's where I think, that's what I thought, 3.5, 4 years ago when we started the company, where the industry was going to head, was that more of these all-in-one encompassing types of workflow products would begin to come to market. We're seeing a few competitors kind of in that broader space, but I think over time you're going to see a lot of the point solutions are going to start to think, I can't survive as just a point solution that's really good at marketing, because that doesn't integrate into the company the best way.
Right. Well, I remember when I was looking for a CRM for my own consulting firm, there's just so many of them out there. And I'm surprised that there's actually so many of them out there, because I think that how can all of these companies survive? I mean, you have everything from Salesforce to Pipedrive to, there's a million of them out there, and they still seem to be flourishing. I don't know, maybe is it because it's so inexpensive to just throw up a CRM, get some open source code and just do it if you're a developer?
That's exactly why. And a lot of those products in that space are actually really good. Like, they're interesting products and they solve the problem and they're cheap. So
but it's not Salesforce, so nobody wants to use it.
Right. Yeah. Salesforce has the market kind of on the high end, large and enterprise space. You are seeing some of those point solutions come in at a much cheaper price point for SMBs, startups, SMBs that are taking that away from Salesforce. But Salesforce owns the top of that market for sure. But where Salesforce falls down is, again, on that integration side. When somebody wants to run 5 or 6 things together and they're all integrated in one way, what happens is they do those 4 or 5 other things now, and they link to Salesforce to pull data in.
Well, I find it ironic that Salesforce supposedly started the no software, nothing on your desktop thing, and now they are the man, right? They were against the man. Now they're the man, and they've got this. You need a massive ecosystem in order to support something like that, because it requires so much customization, and everybody's just drunk the Salesforce Kool-Aid and said, well, we got to use them because everybody else is using them. And I'm like, my answers to that is no, you don't. You have to look back at what you need, and then work backwards to figure out what software you need to bring into the situation.
Yeah, Salesforce, they started this no-code revolution, no software revolution is what they called it at the beginning. But what happened over time was they added more and more feature sets that became to move them into the low code space, meaning I have no code drag and drop, but now I need to write code to do certain things to make it. And then things just got more and more complex, where now they've become the type of product that they set out to displace when Salesforce started, it's kind of in the space. And that's why some of the really interesting no code CRM products are doing so well at the entry market. Is they look more interesting. They're easier to set up. You don't have this no code capability. It's just all, or low codes, excuse me. It's just all no code drag and drop to set things up.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I've noticed about these things is that even though you do have a lot of flexibility and you've got a lot of stuff in there already, you still might end up with a situation where it's not quite what you wanted. And so do you have an ecosystem that allows you to sort of pull in a developer to customize it to that level? Or do you stop there and say, listen, this is the best, this is all we got?
Yeah, I should have answered more of that earlier in the conversation when you
were all right.
talking about partners here. But yeah, so we have an ecosystem of partners. We have over 100 different, what we call service providers. Those are partners that are certified on our product to deliver services back to our customers that are there. And they have expertise in different areas. So you may find people that have expertise in healthcare, or maybe they're more manufacturing, or general consultants that are just good at business processes and really understanding the process and modeling out inside of SmartSuite. We also have partners that have an expertise in integration, so that if you need to integrate our product with 4 or 5 other products, maybe some homegrown tools, different ways, they know how to use Zapier and Make and different products in that category that can easily bring data in and out of the platform. So as our customers move out of kind of the small and medium into the large and enterprise, you see more consultants that are involved. And typically because of that, the reason for that is that if you have hundreds and hundreds of people relying on a business process to do their job each day, you need to get that process right at the beginning. Whereas SMB can build a process out, take feedback from people, maybe 10 users are using it, they make updates as they go, not a problem. But those larger companies, they want to release something that is kind of the best in class right from the beginning that meets the needs. So a lot of the process consultants come in and they're not worried about the product. They're worried about what's the process need to be? How do we flow the process? How's the information go through the process? Now we're going to use SmartSuite as the platform to automate that for you. But they're more concerned on, how do I maximize the efficiency of the process itself?
Right. Well, sometimes when you have no code platforms, it's actually pretty onerous for the user to set it up the way they want it to. I mean, I kind of use the travel example where it used to be I would just call somebody up and go, hey, can you book me a trip? And they would go do all the work and then come back to me with the perfect trip. Now it takes me weeks and months to try and figure out what the perfect trip is. So how do you solve that issue where you're actually talking to people who are just, they're business folks, they don't really know the technology, but they need to be able to configure it and make it not too onerous?
Yeah, we take 2 different approaches for that. So we have a SmartSuite Academy it's a training academy that has about 150 different how-to videos on different features and topics, use cases that we have. And then we have a certification program associated with that, so that somebody could go in and actually say, hey, I'm certified at this level, so that if you're in an organization, maybe the leader of the organization could say, okay, I understand this person understands how to use SmartSuite to automate our processes that are there. So we just try to provide easy ways to educate people that are there. We also have a growing number of partners that are really like a concierge service for exactly what you just said. So they'll charge a monthly retainer. Sometimes you can think of it as like a 3/4 of an employee. If I were to purchase somebody to do this, that are on call at any time, and they are experts in processes because they work with hundreds and hundreds of companies. So you're getting like the experts, not just on our product, but on just how to set up and manage processes across different size companies that are there. That particular industry, I think, is going to continue to grow over the upcoming years, in that a lot of people are leaving their day jobs to actually move into these kind of agency roles, setting up retainers, and then supporting lots of customers as opposed to just one customer.
Mm-hmm. So where do you see things going from now on? I mean, let's not do the futurist thing yet, but where do you see, like, what direction are you moving in? Are you just sort of at the point of growing the organization and growing your user base, or do you see going off in different directions?
Yeah, so at this point, we're focused on happy customers. So people just come to our website, they can start a free trial, convert themselves, and then we'll help them along the way based on the requests that they have back to us. That's there. So it's pretty easy. So we're trying to get as many people into that funnel and try out as many different types of use cases and add features that support those types of use cases they have. Where we're headed as an organization is, once you have information inside of the company, is how do we take that information and help you analyze that in a way that brings insights to maybe how you run your business. That could be for a particular team, maybe that's inside of maybe just a subset of a marketing team that's focused on just content that's there, right? But how can we give them insights into the content that's performing the best, or the types of content that they should be writing using AI that's there? So we're just like everybody else. We've got customers that are using lots of AI inside of our product right now, using Zapier or Make, or the new OpenAI just released their own API that customers are now using. And the use cases, they just blow you away. I'll give you a quick example of one of our sales team members uses our product to go into a contact that has just signed up for the product. He pulls up one of our pages, he puts in 4 or 5 pieces of information in different fields about how he'd like to reply back to that customer. uses Zapier to pass the information, who then looks at ChatGPT, passes information back to Zapier, writes the email response back to the customer. All of that happens in about 5 seconds. And it actually creates the emails for the salesperson to send back out based on the things that he thinks or she thinks are most important. And then they just hit send.
I love it.
Something that took, a day, they're doing in a matter of minutes, and the quality of the content, the emails that they're sending out are just like spot on. It's amazing at the quality, that's coming out of the AI. And we see that as an industry inside of all core kind of no-code platforms is just, it's exploding right now.
Oh yeah, well, you have to make it. I mean, I can see the day at some point where somebody says, "Hey, can you write me a CRM?" And just like spit out write me the best CRM you can, and it just spits out an entire CRM. Maybe someday, but not quite yet.
It's actually closer than you think, Chris. So we're actually working on some things, and we've been playing around with where you can answer a series of questions, and we will go pull information and actually create the field types and build the solution for you based on your actual need that's there. And
nice.
It's actually, the technology is super simple to do. It's getting the questions right to really understand what the consumer is looking for. And then we look in our library, we tailor one of the templates that fits exactly what you told us and kind of take out everything else that's not there. So it feels like it's even closer to what you want right at the beginning.
Yeah, no, I love the concept of having those pre-made templates, because a lot of times these things come out of the box with very little, and you have to try and educate people on how to do it properly. But if you have these templates that are already out of the box, and you can say, "Oh, I need to implement a sales process. I don't really know that much about it. I'm the technical founder, etc." Right. But there it is, right? I mean, and how did you come up with those? I mean, best practices? Did you bring some consultants in? How did you come up with this set of templates that come with?
Yeah, well, the first part is that's the area of the business that I absolutely love. Go back to my Ernst & Young days of I'm all things process, and when we built the company prior, Archer Technologies, it was very similar, and then we had best practice templates for processes that were there. So I started with just the core knowledge that I have around the templates, and then we worked with industry experts on those particular areas to begin to fine tune those. So marketing agencies that are really in tune with, hey, you need these 8 or 9 processes to manage the workflows inside of a marketing agency that are there. And here's how they need to talk to each other and be linked together that are there. So we've tried to do that through each of the categories. And then we get constant feedback, daily feedback from customers that use the templates saying, we love this, we don't like this, or if you change this or add this one, this report would be really meaningful as a starting point that's in there. So it's the iterations of the processes that make it, so much better over time. That's there. The more feedback we get, the better.
Is it that simple where I could say, "Oh, I want to start a marketing agency," and I just sign up and I click on a button saying "Start a marketing agency," and it automatically ripples out all the processes that I would need in a marketing agency?
Yeah. So you click it, it's a single click, and then you can say, we show you all the processes. So you could say marketing, and then we'll show you the 10 to 15 templates that we have. And you could say,
"Oh, wow,
this, and it just goes, just brings all of those in, and you're ready to get started."
Wow, that's no excuse then. Anybody, there's no reason why you can't start a business on this thing. It seems like it's and is it all internal, or does it actually have an external web facing piece to it too? Like, can it build your website for you?
It can't build your website yet, but we are really close to announcing some integrations with products that do just that. So they can look into SmartSuite, pull the data that you want to build your website with, and then you can access control that however you want. We do have aspects of the product that allow you to share content outside of the members that you have kind of in your workspace. So maybe I have a client and I need them to just have read-only access to certain data on a project. So that's just a single click to share that data that's there. But what we do that's a little different as well is we have a concept of a guest that you can bring into your workspace, and a guest can see things you've assigned to them, and they can comment on those things and change the status. But that's it. They can't add new content and cooperate. So if, let's say, you're a marketing agency working with 50 customers, you could give them access back into your system, your workflow. They would only see the projects you're working on, and they would get the updates, can communicate to you in a Slack type way right there in the work. And they could also approve things you've done, but they couldn't do anything else, they could just say approved or rejected, right? And if you want them to have all the capabilities, you add them as a member for $10 a month.
So that would be a customer, and but not a consultant, say, you would be working with. The consultant you're working with would be the member, and the guest would be more of a customer who needs to be part of the workflow.
Yeah. So a guest is just anybody that you don't want to pay for. It's free. A guest is free. You can have as many as you want, right? And our intent is,
can I sign myself up as a guest? No.
you have to have a paid account, and then you can have as many guests as you want if you just have one paid user. But our intent is, we want to show you the capabilities to as many people as we can, hoping that those people will want to convert it someday to use all the capabilities and not just change a status and communicate on the project with you.
Mm-hmm. So have you seen growth in a particular market over another? Like, is there a particular industry that it sounds like the tool is available to everyone, but do you see some industries growing faster than others?
We see entry points into companies that are kind of like the typical entry point where people find value. And then what happens is it begins to expand into other departments. I mentioned marketing a lot because that's the number one that we have. It seems like that's a big need right now, regardless of company size. There's immediate value that can be seen. What happens for us that we love is that now it gets shown off with other people in the company, and they say, I'd like to run my process that way. Outside of marketing, we run into product, into IT, into sales, into governance, risk, and compliance. Like, those are all really good entry points for us. And then we have 35 categories of templates, and then it just kind of expands. And what's fun is we can track the initial templates that were downloaded in a company, and then we can start to see the traction of additional categories of templates that they're downloading over time. And then we can start to see that more users are being added as these different templates are being downloaded.
Wow, this is so cool. I mean, the thing that sort of is I'm thinking about now is, it sounds really expensive. Because that's the one thing. I used to use HubSpot as well, and then as I got into HubSpot and used more and more of their features, I thought to myself, wait a second, I'm spending a lot of money here. Yeah. There's got to be other options. So I'm assuming you don't. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about like where the price points are and what I get for what I'm paying.
Sure. Yeah. So we made a decision early on that we did not want to nickel and dime people on features that's there. So across all of our plans, with a few exceptions on permissioning and different levels of permissions and single sign-on, those types of things, you're going to get all of our features across all of our plans, including our free plan. What we do base the numbers on is usage based. So you have a number of records or things that you can do in a particular plan before you start to reach limits that would say, hey, I need to move from the $10 plan to the $24 plan. That's there. And typically that's also based on you finding value because you're putting more and more content back into the product. So when we talk with customers early on, they were really frustrated with companies that give them enough features that everywhere they click, it says upgrade, 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 and they just want to use the product, right? So
you are talking about HubSpot, right?
That's one, but I think that was going back a few years, that was the standard in software as a service products, was to follow that approach. And I think what you're seeing now is people are finding ways to put levers or gates in place that help move people kind of through their different plan levels, just based on the value that they're getting overall that's there. So there was one CRM where I signed up for it and it looked really good. It was very similar to HubSpot. It gave me everything I wanted, except for like a couple of little things which I was okay with. And then I realized that I had to pay extra to get their logo taken off my emails. Right. Like, you're kidding, right? And it goes, oh no, it's per email. You give us $20 and we can do like 10,000 emails. And I'm like, really? Yeah. Come on, that is ridiculous. But we try to stay away from all of that. And I just say our initial customer feedback was very negative on the use of feature gates as opposed to usage gates that were in place. So we'll see over the long term if that makes sense and people continue to upgrade to new plans. But that's the approach that we've taken.
Awesome. Well, I love the sound of it. I'm definitely going to try it out. So let's time to think like a futurist. It is the year 2033. Where will you be? Like, what will you be doing? What are you going to have AI built right into the software? I mean, can I just talk to it and say, hey, send out send an email, send a marketing drip campaign to my 3,500 newsletter subscribers. Would I be able to just do that, and you could just do it? Is that part of your plan?
It is. I think that's actually a lot closer than you think, because the natural language capabilities now of being able to ask for things and to open up products and go to particular views or to perform actions is there, and not very difficult to actually add to products that are there.
Oh, wow.
So we're
so it's not 10 years out. It's like next year.
No, that's next year. That some of that
wow.
is this year. There's quite a number of products that do that already, that just blow you away. So you just log in and just say, hey, take me to my sales report for last quarter. That's all you have to say, and it just takes you right there. I think what's coming that's going to be even more impactful than that is using AI on top of large data sets to help drive insights for the business, to think about things that the business might not be thinking about. Maybe you're saying that, hey, 80% of your business is coming from these 3 cohorts that do X, Y, and Z. And if you would spend this much more money on marketing, it could increase your profitability by X. Like, that is super meaningful. And the data is all there. It's now training AI on how to get to the data, and then how to interpret the information based on the request that comes in. But the hard work on the AI side is done, because we can take that database, throw it into AI where they have access to it, and now I can start asking questions. And in the case of SmartSuite, what we want to do is we want to create dashboards on the fly. So you could come in and say, hey, create me insights about XYZ in my business. We'll actually create a dashboard with charts and graphs that will take what we just heard from AI and help show it to you live, right? And then give you a write-up that says, here's what we found, but look at these charts. And when you click in the chart, each piece of the chart is clickable to go in and actually see the data that's in there. So I think that's the vision that we see for our company with our larger customers that have data sets where you can really interpret the data.
So it sounds like you're also gunning for Tableau consultants. Is that right?
Yeah. We have built-in dashboards with charts and graphs and all of that. That's actually something 5 or 6 years ago where you'd have to buy third-party products to do that is going away. That's just like a core feature. It's just so easy to do that these days compared to 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's probably going to be some kind of a reckoning in that space, because there's so many tools doing so many different things. Yeah. We see these all-in-one sort of Swiss Army knife tools coming in and doing just good enough. I mean, I could see sort of like it's almost going to be a bloodbath in these little one-off tools, right? Because it's going to be like, who's going to want to bring in Tableau or period, right, when your tool can do 80% of what people are looking for and be extensible enough so that somebody can actually walk up to it and say, can you give me this? And then there it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
If you think of why Tableau has been so successful, is they bring data from all these different data sets into one place to create a dashboard, right?
Exactly.
That's what work management is all about, is now we have all the data and we have integrations to the data points that are kind of outside as well. And we can chart and graph all of that information, on the fly. So you're reducing the need for that third-party product.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going to destroy a lot of industries. You're going to be like the futurists who said, "Oh, if we have autonomous vehicles, then can you imagine how many industries will be eliminated?" But right, you're going to create other industries, right? At the same time, I mean, you're not going to just eliminate jobs.
Yeah, I don't think we view anything happening as eliminating jobs. I think that what you're going to see is a lot of the traditional development companies that wrote code for companies to build these processes. They're going to change, where they're going to actually have more no-code type people to automate processes and then put their spin on it with a low-code capability that's there. So I think that development industry is going to change a lot, but there's so many no-code platforms being built that companies like SmartSuite are going to hire more developers, right, that traditionally have been in the agency. So I don't see that, like, overall that's really going to change that's there. And then you're going to see that people are just going to be smarter in the way that they can do work each day. They'll be more efficient with everything kind of built in. It's a little more collaborative. You can build a better culture, maybe with people that are working remotely, to feel like they're a part of the team, because everybody can kind of see what's happening across all functions of a business, and they're not just in their one little, their one little function.
Well, how far away do you think we are? Fully AI salespeople can take people directly from sort of interest interest to sale. I mean, it's not that far off, right?
It's actually happening right now. So it's interesting enough that you say that. We looked at a tool this morning that contacted us. That's a prospecting tool that has a database of millions and millions of users, and they will build traffic on your website to see the types of people that are coming in and buying, signing up for trials. They'll look back into their database as well, but they'll manage the entire process using AI and communicate with users with emails based on what they're seeing working, not working, to get you demos.
Wow.
No human
I love
intervention
it.
at all. And on top of that, it's only a couple $1,000s
Oh my God, that's
for a
great.
year for that type of product that's there. So that particular piece with content that industry is getting turned upside down right now. And another industry that just in the last month that's changed dramatically is content writers for SEO based blog posts on websites.
Oh yeah.
I can go in and use ChatGPT and I could say, this month I want to write articles across these 4 categories. Can you give me 20 examples of titles? And I'm going to say, okay, I like these 5. Now I want to write XYZ and I want it to have this tone with this information, these references, and it just writes it. And before, companies pay $800 to $1,000 per blog post from.
Oh yeah.
And
oh
now
yeah, absolutely.
you do it yourself.
Absolutely.
And you can write a blog in 5 to 10 minutes. That's probably more SEO focused than what you were paying for. You could analyze the blogs you've done before so that it keeps the content fresh. Like that whole industry is changing like right now.
Yeah, I think writers and authors have to change their titles to prompt engineers, because if you got to be a prompt engineer. And then I write science fiction as a hobby, and I'm using ChatGPT 4 right now to help me write a time travel novel. And it was really helpful to sort of riff against. It's almost like having an editor who you just throw ideas against the wall and they can come back. And you can say things like, well, what was Alexandria like in 2403 BC? And it would give me a full picture of what the city was like. And I'm like, this is so much more fun than talking to Google, where I get, 50% ads and then all sorts of other stuff that's not really useful. But I mean, it's really changed things up in many spaces. Yeah.
A great example of what's going to happen is you're not going to a search engine and typing in a search term. You're actually having a conversation and building on that conversation to get what you want. And I was working just a couple of nights ago where I was watching TV with my wife, and she goes, what are you working on? I'm like, I'm just having a conversation. And I was figuring out stuff for the business that I'm asking questions and looking at metrics. And I'm like, this is just amazing that I can get this much information so quickly, just, based on that.
Yeah. Well, the funny part is that I had a writing session with it, and I came downstairs and I was talking to my wife and I was telling her all about it. And she goes, oh, it sounds like you found a new friend.
Need to give it a name, right?
I guess kinda, right? I mean,
yeah, I live in Southern California and the movie industry is really big, and I can't tell you how many discussions we've had.
Oh, I can imagine.
The movies, thinking about writing, movie scripts and being able to take really successful movie scripts and learn from that on how to build new scripts, that are for different ideas that are there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I have this feeling, and I don't know if people think it's dystopian or utopian, but we're going to get to the point where we'll flip on Spotify and every song will be generated for us specifically. Like it'll be John's song. It'll be John's this, and Chris is this, Chris is this. So, and I can send it to you and it's like, oh, I hate that song because it's not tuned to you, right? It's tuned specifically. And it would be the same for films, right? I'll be streaming things on my own machine and it'll know exactly what I like and it'll create the entire thing on the fly as I'm watching it. And it could tell, by the way it looks at me, whether or not I'm enjoying it or not, and it'll just sort of tune it for enjoyment. So, entire industries are going to blow up, but that's a while off. That's a while off.
I think, until about 4 months ago, I thought that this was like something in the future that people were always talking about. Yeah. And then I realized very quickly, just in one single day, when I sat down with ChatGPT and started just using it and asking questions, I'm like, oh, this is very different than what I ever pictured in my mind on how it was going to work. So
yeah. Well, I was always talking to somebody who they do real estate leads through something like that. They have a system where they have the system put the ad on Facebook, gather the lead, and then have the entire conversation up until the point where they're ready to buy through AI. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool, because you think about how many agents it's freeing up to only talk to the super warm or hot leads. Yeah. And I see all industries going in that direction. Do you have that kind of thing in SmartSuite as well, or is that coming?
So we don't have it in SmartSuite. We use that will be available as part of the integration that we're doing. We use a product called Intercom that provides those capabilities, and we're struggling with if we're going to turn it on or not, because it can answer questions in a conversation style with customers coming through support. And we're hesitant that we don't want our customers to feel like we're not giving them the attention, but we're also seeing that the quality of the responses is so high and useful. Like, we may even give them a choice to say, like, we have somebody available in an hour. Like, if you go on our product and click, we pull up a chat menu. And if we're super busy, we may just say, hey, you go right to we'll give you the automated GPT, but tell you about it, right?
Yeah.
Versus I want to talk with someone live. But with the right training, we're just saying that, man, you could have a lot of conversations, a lot of engaging conversations with people, really low cost way to do that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that reminds me of a Yahoo saying. We used to call it eat your own dog food. So you should eat your own dog food. Take those things, give it to your customers. You have to try it first and use it yourselves.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of companies like us that are going to try that and just see if customers, how they respond to that. And if it's good, if it's great, I think it'd be okay. But a lot of people want to feel like they're talking to a human as well. And how do we bridge that gap?
Oh, interestingly enough, I've talked to a number of different people on this, and there's such a divide, because some people are saying, well, I would prefer to talk to a machine because I know the machine's not going to try to upsell me. And then other people would say, well, I prefer talking to a human because the machine probably can't do any kind of creative thinking on my behalf. So or it depends on what I'm doing, right? If I just want to come in, buy something and get out, I'd rather talk to a machine. So it's just an interesting space. And you're right. I mean, the fact is that this is just a few months old, right? And it's still moving so rapidly. There's new AI everywhere, embedded in everything. And I have this feeling that one day it's going to be our AI talking to your AI, and it's like all these. It's like we won't actually do anything. We'll just have the AIs talking to each other.
Yeah. You're saying, I want to go buy a no-code work management platform. Go tell me the pricing for these.
That's right. The AI will go off and talk to your platform and all these other platforms and come up with a solution.
And it will say, hey, here's how I rate all these products, and we'll negotiate the price for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Who knows? It may be here before you know it.
That's true. Very true.
All right. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Yeah, I'll give you two ways. You could go to our website, smartsuite.com, start a free trial. And once you download our product, or excuse me, it's all web-based, but you start a trial, in the right-hand corner, there's just a bot that you can click on and have a conversation with us. So you can ask for me and I respond back to those as well. Or you could reach me on LinkedIn is probably the easiest. It's just John Darbyshire, Jon, and just shoot me a DM and I'll be sure to get back to you.
Perfect. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to try it out right after this.
All right. Thanks, Chris. It's been a pleasure.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.